Okay, so finishing up here, what we're going to do and what you'll see at the end result would be a unit designed, same height, put together, red discs, plumbed up, ready to go. In here, all these units use the same salt setting. There's no difference in salt settings. Every unit will use 2.6 pounds of salt per regeneration. And to send water to drain, it sends approximately 23 gallons of water to drain to clean one side of the tank. And again, we offset those regenerations by the control disc. It takes about 32 minutes to do a regeneration complete from start to finish. When you go through a backwash on this unit, they're very quiet. It's not like a typical water softener. These things go through what I call a slow rinse. Every one of these units that you build, you'll understand that it's a downflow service. So the water comes in the Y's, it comes in contact. Hard water only comes in contact with this valve from here, from the inlet, it comes past the main piston and right straight down through the carbon, or if you're doing a regular water softener, right straight down through the resin. And down through the resin, or carbon first, then through the resin, back up through the riser tube and out to service. Depending on how hard your water is, you set your dial here for your hardness. If your water is, say, 15 grains hard, you set it for 15 grains hard. And you'll notice right here, there's an arrow. You take a number 5 Allen wrench to dial in the hardness of your water. So you get those things both set up identically. Also, every valve has a blending valve down here. For customers who don't want to have all the way soft water because they don't like that slippy feel, I call it the silky feel, you can automatically take that away by blending in anywhere from a half a grain of hardness up to probably 2 grains of hardness by dialing in. All you have to do is test your water. If the person doesn't want, you can keep your water soft up to 3 grains of hardness. We all know that. But for the people, we always set them at 0 because most people want all the time soft water. So here we have it. You can set your hardness here on each valve. Blending valve here should be set at 0. And then you backwash. And basically, you're only going to have to backwash one side in the beginning to get the yellow water out from the resin because it pulls water from both tanks at the same time to do a regeneration. So you'll see it, your control disc here. You see down here there's a viewport that you can see your gears turning. There's only 4 discs, 4 little plastic discs in here, wheels, that make this meter turn. The meter itself is just like having a true water meter inside your house. It has a baffling effect. These things are pretty finite in how they meter water. You can take an ink pen and say, all right, I have the point of my ink pen here, and it'll actually pick up that flow of water. They're pretty finicky to the point where if you have a reverse osmosis system behind this unit, you'll actually see it picking up the flow rate of a reverse osmosis system, and most other systems will not do that. So you have a pretty high-tech unit, one that should be maintenance free. If you look at all the setup, you say, wow, it seems like a lot to it, but there's really only 2 internal working parts on this unit. You have a main piston over here, okay? This is your main piston. And actually back here, okay, here on this side here, you have the backwash piston, which is actually external. Your Venturi on this unit is external. The blue tab here, the blue tab, is actually your Venturi, which marries up with the backwash piston. Over here, your brine line, you'll notice, here is where your brine is in correlation with your Venturi here. But this also can send a signal down to the float. For some reason, if it detects a malfunction in the float, it will send a signal to the brine tank and not let the brine tank overflow with water. That's one thing about an Ontario system and all Delta products. Your brine tank during the regeneration process is never under pressure. which is a good thing. And the float itself, I'll grab it here for you quick and let you see it. There's your float. You'll see a little ball inside there. You're really only going to have to put about 2.5 gallons of water in the bottom of the brine tank. That's all it takes to do a regeneration. When regeneration happens, it's pretty easy. The first step of every regeneration is the brine draw and backwash. Okay? And you'll see it here on the red disc. The second phase of that then is the rapid rinse and refill. So it's pretty easy, and it turns itself automatically by using water pressure. On a regular Ontario, if you're only setting up an Ontario unit, here with the blue and white disc, these things are pretty efficient. Again, you're only using 2.6 pounds of salt, but a regular Ontario unit will clean itself in 29 minutes and only send less than 13 gallons of water to drain to do that. So it's very, I think, green in my book. We call it a green unit because it's looking at, very low salt water consumption to do the regeneration, and very little bit of water going to drain, which helps septic systems and the environment itself.